Why do you feel anxious? Why does your chest tighten? Why does your mind race? Why do you overthink everything? Why does your body react to things that shouldn't feel threatening? It's easy to believe anxiety means something is wrong with you, that you're weak, broken, overwhelmed, or defective. But according to Jungian psychology, your anxiety is not a malfunction. It is a message, a signal, a guide, a form of intelligence your conscious mind hasn't learned how to interpret. Your anxiety is the voice of the unconscious. It rises when something deep within you is trying to get your attention. It is your psyche's way of saying, "Wake up. Something important is happening." This is the hidden intelligence of anxiety, and once you understand it, your entire relationship with yourself begins to change. Let's explore this, carefully, slowly, deeply, in a way that helps you feel seen, understood, and empowered. Jung believed that symptoms, anxiety, depression, emotional breakdowns, are not the problem. They are the psyche's attempt to solve the problem. Your anxiety is a symbolic expression, a coded message, a warning system you learn to ignore because nobody taught you how to interpret it. Your anxiety is trying to push information from the unconscious into your conscious awareness. It rises when something inside you needs to change, or be seen, or be expressed, or be integrated, or be healed. This is why you can't just silence it. You can numb it, drown it, outrun it. But it always returns, not to torture you, but to deliver a message you kept missing. Anxiety is the psyche knocking on the door of your awareness. It's saying, "Please listen. There is something you need to know." Your anxiety is not caused by the thing you're anxious about. Your anxiety is caused by the meaning your unconscious attaches to it. The real source of anxiety is deeper. A wound you never healed. A truth you've been avoiding. A role you've outgrown. A boundary you've never set. A desire you're afraid to claim. A life you are not fully living. A version of you that is trying to emerge. Jung said, "The shoe that fits one person pinches another." Meaning, your anxiety is personal. It is shaped by your unique past, your unique fears, your unique story. You don't suffer because life is stressful. You suffer because something in your psyche is asking for evolution, and your current life cannot support it. Anxiety is not caused by the world. It's caused by the conflict between your inner world and the life you're living. Your unconscious mind contains everything you've suppressed, denied, or forgotten. Every painful memory, every rejected emotion, every disowned trait, every unexpressed desire, every unmet need, every piece of your authenticity that you abandoned to fit in. Jung called these the shadow. Your shadow contains the energy you pushed out of your conscious identity. When this energy builds up, it begins to leak through the surface. You feel it as anxiety. Anxiety is the shadow knocking. It's the part of you saying, "I cannot stay buried anymore." This is why anxiety often appears when you aren't living your truth. You're betraying your needs. You suppress your real feelings. You tolerate what hurts you. You try to be who others want you to be. You avoid speaking up. You avoid conflict. You hide your power. You ignore your intuition. You abandon yourself. Your unconscious rebels, and it rebels through anxiety. Anxiety is the clash between who you are and who you pretend to be. The persona, your social mask, is the version of yourself you present to the world. Your persona says, "I'm fine. I'm strong. I'm capable. I don't need help. I can handle this. I don't feel anything." But underneath, the shadow whispers, "I'm overwhelmed. I'm tired. I'm scared. I need support. I feel lost. I want more." Anxiety appears when the gap between persona and shadow becomes too wide. Your psyche cannot tolerate living in opposition to itself, so it signals distress. The more you pretend, the louder the anxiety becomes. This is why anxiety spikes when you're lying to yourself, you're hiding your feelings, you're trying to be perfect, You're trying to control everything. You fear disappointing others. You play a role you outgrew. You suppress parts of yourself to belong. Pretending is exhausting. Your psyche knows the truth, and anxiety is how it demands your attention. The body speaks when the mind refuses to listen. Your psyche communicates. Through the body. When you ignore emotional messages, the body amplifies them. Tight chest, shaking hands, racing heart, sweaty palms, stomach tension, shallow breathing, restless mind, insomnia. These are not random symptoms. They are signals. Your body is trying to express what your voice cannot. Your intuition cannot. Your conscious mind will not. Anxiety manifests physically because the body becomes the messenger. When the mind silences the truth, the intelligence of anxiety is embodied. Your body knows when you're living out of alignment. Most people treat anxiety as an enemy, but in Jungian psychology, anxiety is a compass. It points toward what needs healing, what needs changing, what needs releasing, what needs expressing, what needs integrating, what needs confronting, what needs understanding. Your anxiety is directional. It shows up when you abandon yourself, when you betray your values, when you suppress your truth, when you ignore your intuition, when you settle for less than you deserve, when you live someone else's life, when you silence your desires, when you avoid your purpose. Anxiety doesn't rise to destroy you. It rises to redirect you. Not all anxiety is the same. There is ego anxiety, the fear of losing control, losing approval, losing comfort, losing certainty. And there is soul anxiety, the fear of living falsely, living small, living unexpressed, living unconsciously. Ego anxiety tries to keep you safe. Soul anxiety tries to set you free. Ego anxiety says, don't change, don't risk, don't grow. Soul anxiety says, you're meant for more. You cannot keep living like this. Most people confuse the two, so they fight the wrong thing. You try to silence soul anxiety, even though it is guiding you toward your real life. Individuation is Jung's word for the awakening of the true self. It's not self-improvement, it's self-revelation, self-alignment, self-integration. Anxiety appears when individuation begins, when your psyche signals. The old self must fall away. The old patterns must break. The old wounds must be healed. The old relationships must evolve. The old identity no longer fits. It feels like your life is destabilizing. But really, it is reorganizing. Anxiety is the tremor before psychological expansion. When anxiety rises, it is rarely caused by the present moment. It is activated by archetypal forces within you. The child archetype feels abandoned. The warrior archetype feels suppressed. The creator archetype feels unexpressed. The lover archetype feels disconnected. The sage archetype feels unheard. The self archetype feels distant. Your anxiety may be the sound of an archetype awakening. For example, if you feel anxious in relationships, the child within you may need protection, or the lover may need vulnerability, or the warrior may need boundaries. If you feel anxious about your purpose, the creator may be trying to emerge, or the sage is asking for meaning, or the self is calling you inward. Your anxiety is not random. It is archetypal. It is mythic energy, trying to express itself through your life. Your shadow contains everything. You've disowned the anger you suppressed, the confidence you denied, the sadness you minimized, the needs you ignored, the desires you rejected, the truth you avoided, the boundaries you never set, the voice you never used. When these disowned parts push upward, you feel it as anxiety. Anxiety is the doorway through which the shadow re-enters your awareness. This is why people with high anxiety are often highly intuitive, highly sensitive, highly creative, highly perceptive. Your psyche is alive. It is trying to complete an unfinished story. The shadow is not trying to hurt you. It is trying to return to you. Anxiety rises the moment you are strong enough to reclaim what you once buried. Anxiety appears when you are living without purpose. There is a unique kind of anxiety. That comes from unlived potential. Jung wrote, "Nothing is more frightening than the unlived life." When you're disconnected from your purpose, your psyche becomes restless. You feel it as boredom that feels like suffocation, restlessness that feels electric, an urge to change your life without knowing why, a craving for meaning, a sadness with no clear cause, a sense that time is passing and you're not where you should be. This anxiety is not a flaw. It is a calling. It is your potential, trying to wake up. The greatest source of anxiety is self-abandonment. Every time you betray your truth, your psyche sends a signal. You say yes when you want to say no. You stay silent when something hurts. You keep the peace at your own expense. You tolerate disrespect. You shrink to make others comfortable. You ignore red flags. You avoid difficult conversations. You pretend things don't bother you. Your anxiety spikes because your psyche is protesting. It's saying, stop abandoning yourself. It is costing you your peace. Your anxiety is not the enemy. Your self-betrayal is. Anxiety and intuition are closely linked. Most people think anxiety and intuition are opposites, but in Jungian psychology, they often emerge from the same source. Both arise when the unconscious detects something important. Here's the difference. Intuition is clear. Anxiety is loud. Intuition is calm. Anxiety is urgent. Intuition guides. Anxiety pushes. But both come from the same internal radar. Your intuition whispers, "This is wrong." Your anxiety screams, "I'm not safe." When you ignore your intuition, anxiety increases. Anxiety is intuition that has been suppressed, ignored, or feared. When you begin honoring your inner knowing, your anxiety softens. Psychologically, anxiety is pressure. Pressure to grow, pressure to integrate, pressure to evolve, pressure to express, pressure to change, pressure to break cycles, pressure to stop pretending. This pressure is not punishment. It is the force that pushes a seed to sprout, a snake to shed its skin, a butterfly to break its cocoon. Transformation always begins with tension. Your anxiety is inner evolution, trying to begin. People tell you to relax, calm down, breathe, think positive thoughts. Let it go. They don't understand. You're not anxious because you lack calm. You're anxious because you lack alignment. Your psyche is alert because something in your life is out of integrity. Your anxiety is saying, you cannot continue like this. Until you face the truth, relaxation will always feel impossible. Because anxiety doesn't respond to avoidance. It responds to authenticity. Everything changes when you stop fighting your anxiety and start listening to it. Your anxiety contains information. Ask it, what am I not saying? What am I not admitting? What am I ignoring? What am I avoiding? What part of myself am I betraying? What desire am I denying? What truth am I scared to face? What boundary am I failing to set? What wound am I afraid to heal? What calling am I resisting? These questions unlock the intelligence of your anxiety. When you make space for truth, your anxiety no longer needs to scream. It can finally exhale. Anxiety is a threshold. Your anxiety is not your enemy. It is a threshold, a doorway, a crossing point, a place of psychological initiation. You are not breaking down. You are breaking open. Your anxiety is the signal that the old version of you is dissolving and a new one is forming. The moment you stop seeing anxiety as a flaw, you begin to see it as a guide. Your psyche is not betraying you. It is waking you up from the life you outgrew, waking you up from the roles you were forced to play, waking you up from the patterns that hurt you, waking you up from the expectations that limit you, waking you up from the identity that was never truly yours. Your anxiety is intelligence. It is aliveness. It is awareness. It is awakening. It is your unconscious, trying to become conscious. It is your shadow, trying to integrate. It is your inner child, trying to heal. It is your future self, trying to emerge. It is your soul, trying to speak. This is the hidden intelligence of your anxiety, and once you understand it, you will never fear it in the same way again.